Thank you very much. And from the European Parliament, Mr. Halla-aho, please.
Thank you, Chairman. My colleague, Mrs. Gomez, made reference to the proposed new firearms directive. The Commission proposes to ban from civilian ownership nearly all semi-automatic sporting rifles. Yet such legally held weapons have not been used in any of the recent terrorist attacks, and very seldom in any kind of crime. The terrorists have used smuggled military firearms or reactivated firearms, all of which are already illegal, and which therefore will not be affected by any new prohibition. I have a question to Mr. Wainwright. Can you, from your position and with your expertise, give us any concrete data, figures, or statistics in support of the Commission crusade against legally held semi-automatic rifles? This is a big issue here now, and it will be a big issue in national parliaments before long. Thank you.
External border. Finally, in regard to Mr. Halla-aho and his specific questions regarding firearms, well, here, of course, I don't have, to hand at least, any direct evidence of legally held semi-automatic firearms being used by terrorists. I do know, however, that the strategy that we are pursuing here, which is supported also, I think, by the proposed firearms directive, is, of course, to close down the space by which criminals and terrorists can access such firearms by whatever means. And we do know that stolen legally held firearms have indeed featured in certain major investigations. That's not the fault of those owners, of course, but it has been one source of firearms access and use by firearms. And I understand, just to repeat the point the Commissioner made, that the directive is about tackling military-grade automatic and converted semi-automatic weapons, and that I understand the directive will indeed make appropriate provisions for sports shooters and reservists, for example. So this is about closing down the space as much as possible in a proportionate way to prevent criminals and terrorists continuing to use a whole range of firearms in what has become, I think, a more violent part of the way in which we see crime and terrorism evolving.